Hey everyone, this is Andrew at Plainview Farm. Well, we are back on our garden fence project today. Actually, I've been back on the garden fence project probably about every day for a week. It's been slow going, but I have made some progress. I managed to get all of the wire put up and stretched, but right now we are going to build a couple simple wooden gates for our entryway into the garden. We've got an 8-foot gate, or we've got a 12-foot opening. We're going to put an 8-foot gate and a 4-foot gate to fill that opening. The 4-foot gate will allow us to walk in and out of the garden easily, and then the 8-foot gate will give us the extra space to get any equipment, tractor, truck, whatever, in and out of the garden easily. So like I said, these are very simple gates. There's not a whole lot to them. They're fairly easy to construct, even if you have, basic skills. And they look nice, or at least in my opinion, they look nice. I think a wooden gate looks a lot better than a steel gate or a metal gate, a pipe gate, any day of the week. Now what I'm using here are just 1x6 treated boards. If you want your gate to be a little bit stronger, a little bit heftier, you can use heavier boards than this. But again, as I've mentioned in previous videos, this is mainly for appearance and to keep the dogs out of the garden. This is actually a really nice day here. The weather has turned favorably for us compared to what it was a few days ago, which, I mean, actually the weather's been really mild lately anyway. But it's a nice day. There's actually been folks burning some brush fires in the area, so it's actually a little bit hazy out here today, if you can see that. But also I've got a neighbor spreading fertilizer out here on the airport. He cuts hay off of the airport over here, and so he's doing some fertilizing this evening. So anyway, I've got my boards laid out, and one of the things that I do in order to kind of help with warping of boards, that kind of thing, I will alternate. If they start to show, that they are warping in one direction or the other, I'll alternate them. So this first board here that's closest to me, it's actually, the ends of it are pointing toward the sky. This board, the ends are pointing toward the ground. These are coming up toward the sky, and then the one over there is pointing toward the ground. Like I said, I alternate them to kind of help hold everything together. Now again, these gates being made of wood, naturally there is going to be some warping and twisting, those kinds of things. Whenever you deal with treated lumber these days, that's just the way things work. Usually it's not too bad, especially, like I said, if you take those kinds of things into consideration and try to minimize it as much as you can. That helps whenever you're building a wooden gate like this. But these are great for the yard. So for this project, I'm using just these basic exterior deck screws, construction screws. Again, this, does it have a bit with it? It says there's a bit included, but I don't see the bit. Anyway, these are just basic screws. They're not anything fancy. If I was concerned about strength, again, I would probably use something other than these construction screws, or these, not construction screws, but these deck screws. I'd use something that was a little bit stouter. But for my purposes, these are going to work just fine. I think I'm going to have to dump these out to find the bit. So first we're going to build our 8-foot gate, and we're going to make it roughly 41, 42 inches tall, somewhere in there. I'm going to measure out the spacing of my horizontal boards for this gate and mark it all out on my my vertical support, I guess, what you would call it. Mark out my spacing, then I'll copy that, transfer those marks to the other side. That way we'll be, consistent from one side to the other, and we'll put it together, and then we'll get it all squared up. So I'm going to mark the placement of each board 5.5 inches And then we're gonna go 12 inches, 24, and 36 is where the edge of each board should fall. And as I said, we will transfer our marks. I'm going to get a couple screws started on each end. Okay, so we've got this side started. Now we're going to start the other side. We're going to kind of sandwich everything together here and then get everything positioned, tighten it all down where we want it. As I'm sure you've noticed, I'm putting this all together on a picnic table, just simply because that's the easiest thing to do out here. And I'm not overly concerned with everything being perfectly square and straight and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, I do want it to be straight, but that is not my primary concern. Because that's not the primary goal here. Again, we're just trying to build a simple gate. So my end pieces, my edges, I'm just sandwiching a couple 1x6s here together to hold our rails where we want them. And hopefully as I go along, this will all make sense. So in case you were wondering if something like this is strong enough for livestock, I have used a gate like this, or multiple gates like this, in a handling facility. I had a barn at our previous property that had stalls in it and that kind of stuff, and this worked perfectly. I had a loading area in that barn, and my gates in that barn were all made just like this right here. I did have a cow try to jump over one time, and she just broke the top board, is basically all she did. And she didn't even break it all the way through, she just kinda broke it, if that makes sense. So I'm just putting one screw in all of these so that I will be able to get it squared up. I mean, I know I said square, perfect, straight isn't necessarily what I'm after, but I mean, I do want it straightish. So for now, like I said, one screw in the center. That way everything will be able to move around. All right, there we go. All right, so there's the layout of our 8-foot gate, at least initially here. So now we're going to measure from corner to corner and try to get this squared up. So we are 104 3/4 this direction, and 105 this direction. So we want to bump this the other way just a touch. We're actually pretty good. Kind of surprised. Oh, we're gonna have to go back. Too much. Now we're 104 3/4, and that way back to 105. So let's adjust back. When you're trying to move just small amounts, oh, look at that. Almost. 104 and 7/8. Hopefully we're 104 and 7/8 this direction. Well, 104 and 13/16. You know what? That's not 7/8, but I'll take it. A 1/16 of an inch out of square is, that's good around here. All right, so I'll add an additional screw in each board just to kind of lock things into position. And then we'll cut our cross brace. All right, now, so instead of spending my time trying to figure out angles and such, we're just gonna lay this up here where it goes, and I'm putting a cross brace across it, and I'm just gonna mark it out how I want it. And we'll go back and make our cuts. And here we go. All right, not bad, if I do say so myself. Now I have shorter screws, I don't think I mentioned this, to secure the cross brace. These are 1 1/4 inch screws. I use 2-inch screws on the ends here, on these vertical boards. Again, to go all the way through and hit the boards on the back side. And I'm gonna use these 1 1/4 inch screws here. That way we don't shoot through our rails on our fence here, or our gate, I mean. All right, so we have our brace in, and now I'm gonna finish up and I'm gonna run some screws through the rest of the end pieces, just to hold them all together, kind of finish off the job here. All right, so here we have it, and it didn't take very long to build either, but our simple wooden gate. So actually I'm gonna make this, the bottom, this will be the top, and we'll lay out our hinges and get our straps installed. That way we can hang it. So what I'm using to hang this gate are these metal strap hinges. They take a pin like this, which this is for the smaller gate, but they take a pin that they hang on just like any other gate, and that's what I'm going to install. I'm going to mount them here on the side of the gate, like so. Which what I'll have to do is I'll have to put a piece in down here just to make sure we've got something to attach to. Okay, so I've got a piece of scrap that I'm just going to screw down right here. And it just split out on me, so I'm going to go grab another one. Okay, so now we'll try this piece of scrap. Maybe it won't split, if we're lucky. There we go. I guess I could have drilled it, all that jazz, but don't really want to do that. Okay, so I'm putting the hinges on here, and the hinges will be on the front side of the gate. And I hope my reason for that will be evident in just a few moments. So these use carriage bolts, and they're held in place as they drop in. So I'm gonna put this one in, put this bolt in, and then kind of line everything else up and drill the holes for it, for the rest of it. Fill it in as we go. Again, you don't have to do this. If you're good at marking this stuff out, that's fine. But for me, it's just easier this way. All right, everything is laid out where it needs to be. The only one I'm going to attach on the top is this back bolt. And again, hopefully you will understand why in just a few moments. Now on the bottom, once we get it lined up, we're going to install all three. Put the first one in, will be our pilot. All right, so once you determine how high off the ground you want your gate to be, you can measure and then mark on your post how high you want it off the ground. Then you make an adjustment for the placement of your hinge. My hinge is 2¼ inches from the bottom of the gate. So the bottom of the gate, if it's going to be at 5 inches, well, then I need to insert the hinge pin at roughly 7¼ inches. Which, for the sake of simplicity, we're going to put it in at 7 inches. And make our mark on the post where we need to drill, and drill this out. Okay, now we'll get our hinge bolt, whatever you want to call it, started here. And I like to use a wrench. To screw these things in. Now the hardware I'm putting on this gate to hang it is surely overkill. It doesn't need this heavy duty of hardware in order to properly install it, because the gate honestly isn't that heavy. But it looks right. All right, so we've got the bottom one set, and there's 37 inches from the bottom of the bottom hanger to the top of the top hanger. There's 37 inches between them, so I'll make a mark up here at 37 inches and give myself a little bit of space. Find the center of the post where I want my hinge to go in, and drill and mount this hinge. Ouch. And as always, whenever you're mounting a gate, the bottom pin goes up, top pin goes down, or at least in my case it does. That way the gate does not get knocked off. If you have both pins pointing the same direction, the gate can get knocked off of the pins. So here we are. Let's check to see if we are levelish or plumish, I guess. That's pretty good. Now, we'll see how the gate looks. So I'm using a block over here on this end to set the gate on, and then I'm gonna set this bottom hinge over here. All right, it looks like it's set and flat. Now the reason that we did not completely, fully attach this top hinge is so that we can put it in place. Now it looks like my block is too big. Maybe I can hold it in place. Close. And there we are. Now we can put our bolts in the top hinge. And put the nuts on the bolts. Tighten everything down. So there you have it, one very simple wooden gate. Now, like I said, I put the hinges on the front so that it would look better, number one, and also so that I can open the gate out into the yard. That's the way I want to be able to open it, so that I can open it up wide to be able to get anything in and out of the garden, because there are going to be planting beds just inside the opening here. So again, we want to be able to open the gates up to where we have full access, where we are not impeding access to the garden, okay? So they open up into the yard. But like I said, I'm pretty happy with this one. And unfortunately, the camera battery is about to die, so I'll have to finish this up on the next video. As always, I appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time. Not too bad, if I do say so myself. Pretty fine gate.